All right, welcome everybody to our AI and ChatGPT for real estate agent training. My name is Jabez Lebret with Lotus Launch. I'm super excited to be here today to talk to you all about some of these exciting technologies that have really been at the forefront of conversation around marketing and automation. And I know there's been a lot of hype and a lot of talk about ChatGPT and AI, and it is for good reason. And we are going to walk through some of those reasons and kind of understand how these tools can be used to make our lives easier and to save us time. Two things that all of us want and need, especially with where the market is today. So let's jump in. We're only going to spend about an hour on this. And we're going to go through a lot of facets, but first, before we go into the actual pieces of how to use ChatGPT, we have to understand what is ChatGPT and how is it different than some of the other tools that we've had. So really what we have to think about is ChatGPT is in a sense different than many of the other online tools that we've had. They call it a generative pre-trained, kind of AI. Generative means that it learns and grows upon itself. A couple of thoughts about that component of it is because it learns and grows. That means that the content that you put into ChatGPT, particularly inside your own little box, and we'll talk about your own personal ChatGPT system and how it learns from you personally. But the information that you put into an individual chat or thread on ChatGPT does impact the information that you get out. The number one biggest complaint that I hear from agents is I tried using ChatGPT and it just didn't work out for me. I didn't feel like the information I was getting was really that valuable or that accurate or that interesting or that compelling. And generally speaking, it kind of boils down to how we are approaching asking ChatGPT for help. How are we prompting ChatGPT? And you're going to hear me use the word prompt a lot because prompting is the word used about how do I ask AI something. I am giving it a prompt to do something. So the stronger and better and more descriptive and more thoughtful the prompt, the better the response that you get from AI. I am going to give you a hack kind of near the end, about 2/3 of the way through, that talks about ways you can use ChatGPT to help you with that process. But first, we really want to learn how to build valuable prompts ourselves, right? And in the ChatGPT world, that's called being a prompt engineer. Now, AI won't replace us. There is no question about it. It is not going to replace agents anytime soon. However, I think this is really poignant. Agents who know how to use AI and things like ChatGPT are going to eventually start replacing agents who don't. That doesn't mean that we're taking the personal touch out of being an agent. That doesn't mean that we're taking the personality, the coffee meetings, the networking. All of those things are still important. There's no question. Nothing's going to replace you sitting down in front of a client, trying to close into an exclusive buyer agreement or trying to close that next listing. But those that know how to utilize and leverage AI are going to be able to have more time that they can spend on those high value items like sitting down and giving listing presentations or getting on the phone and calling your sphere or any of those things that we know are those touch points that really tend to move the needle the most. And those touch points, you're going to have more time to do that when you learn how to use AI more effectively. When talking about AI, we really need to be thinking about the difference between a search engine versus something like ChatGPT. So obviously, we've been using Google now for, I don't know, how many years have we been using Google? It feels like forever. But Google really only came back around in the early 2000s as a tool that we could use to search the internet and go find answers. And so we got really accustomed to our search boxes of typing in keyword-laden searches. So I'm looking for a new Thai restaurant, that serves, penne and curry, near me, and then Google will give us a bunch of responses. Or I'm looking for an interesting sales script to close new listings. And Google will give us a response, a list of websites within milliseconds. It says it right on there, right on the search. It's like within 0.08 milliseconds, you received, millions of responses. And what are the responses from the search engine is a bunch of online assets, websites with content, where Google thinks this is the best answer to the question that you ask. So your search query on your Google their job, Google's job, is to go use their algorithm and say, these are the websites that we think are the best answer to that question. There inherently lies a massive fundamental difference between a search engine and a ChatGPT, because with the search engine, it's saying, I believe the content here is the right answer. Here is access to said content. Go look at the content, and then you can determine for yourself if it does or does not answer the question that you asked. ChatGPT is a repository of millions, hundreds of billions of data points that when you ask ChatGPT a question, ChatGPT gives you the answer. Not access to other people writing down an answer, but it gives you an accumulative answer, meaning an answer that is based upon a very large set. Imagine that you had taken all of the answers on the internet and then you had said, okay, this is the answer that seems to come up most often. This is how that answer is presented. And then ChatGPT is going to give you the answer based off of a very large data set of answers to that question that you asked. And in search engines, we call them queries. In ChatGPT or AI, we call them prompts. Another way to think about ChatGPT is kind of like that nerdy friend of yours that seems to know all of the answers to everything. Like we hopefully all have had an opportunity to go to beer trivia with somebody like this, because they really do make it easy, because they just have a lot of information. And when you ask them a question, they go, oh, let me explain to you the answer of that question. That's what ChatGPT does. It is a tool that's there to answer a question. That doesn't mean the question is going to be perfect every time that it answers your question, but it does mean that it's giving you an opportunity to not start from scratch when it comes to utilizing and leveraging the tool as much as possible. And so let's talk about a few ways in which ChatGPT can be used, in AI in general, to really integrate within your business. Now, here is a list of different things that we've come up. I mean, this list could go on very, very lengthy, but here's a list of some things as an agent that we could use ChatGPT and other AI to help us with. As you're reading through this list, I want to frame up for you an idea of how to think about approaching ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to be looked back upon as one of the most influential tools that has been developed in this decade. We've seen mobile devices revolutionize things, social media has revolutionized things, search engines revolutionize things, email revolutionized things. ChatGPT is going to be seen in the same light. And that's just because that is how powerful and how big of a machine ChatGPT is. When we talk about ChatGPT and different ways to approach it, I don't want to box us into thinking about it as ChatGPT is there for me to go ask questions and put in a prompt and then get content out that I can take that content, package it up, and go use it somewhere else. There are other ways to think about ChatGPT. One example would be leaving ChatGPT up and running. So just have your tab open with ChatGPT there, have a channel. We'll talk about the different conversations and a chat specific, a thread for open office, if you will, or however you want to phrase it, where you can go to ChatGPT throughout the middle of your day and clean up, help, or improve things that you're doing. So imagine that you get an email from a client and that email says, hey, I am worried that I'm going to miss being able to lift contingencies on the appraisal removal. What should I do? And you kind of start drafting out a reply to your client for the importance of meeting contingencies and implications of missing contingency dates and, notices perform. And we just had this happen a little bit ago. And so it's super stressful. And, you're in the middle of the transaction and you're pulling your hair out, like, why I can't, how does my client not know that this is important? Because you've, of course, told them already a dozen times. And then you craft a response, and you can take that response and you can copy and paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, could you make this response a little less angry? Like maybe you're really mad. Like we were pretty pissed at our client about, because it wasn't the first time they were missing deadlines. And we were like, look, you are going to lose this property if you don't get your act together. And we were a little angry, and we could take our email that's angry, toss it in ChatGPT and say, hey, could you look at this, rewrite it so it doesn't sound so angry. And ChatGPT will strip out maybe some of the more aggressive wording that we might have had inside the email. Or I could be wanting to simply, send out a quick, happy birthday to somebody in my SOI and a quick text. And maybe I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you give me 2 interesting facts, historical facts of things that happened in the 1700s on this date? No real particular reason to pick 1700, but just something totally random and interesting. And maybe the person's a history buff, and then you can ChatGPT will give you a couple of things. You can take those things and you can put them in your text. Kind of thinking of ChatGPT like that coworker sitting next to you, just waiting for you to interact with them, to have them help you with whatever project you're working on. And so that's one way to think about ChatGPT. We can also think about ChatGPT from kind of a campaign perspective. Like, I want to build out something. I want to build out a campaign, or I want to build out a new business process, or a new lead gen process, or a new system, I want to build out a new process for how I manage my CRM, or how I manage my communications to my team. And ChatGPT can be there to support you in building out structure. ChatGPT can be there to support you as an expert if you need an expert on the line. So obviously, if it's a legal matter or like a technical financial matter, you should go to a legal or financial expert for those things. But if it's a question about like how to close a deal, maybe it's like you're on the edge of closing a deal and you just need some support, some expert support on closing a sale, then you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, here's what's happening, here's what's going on. As the expert in closing deals, tell me how I can best approach closing this deal. What are 5 steps I should take? And it will give you a response back. That doesn't mean that the response it gives you is the right answer, but it's a starting point. And so in those cases, when I'm saying, hey, ChatGPT, I want to treat you as an expert, it's a starting point so that you're not staring at a blank piece of paper. The same goes for the strategy and the campaign planning. Those are starting points. Those are touch points to kind of kick off your strategy session or planning session or campaign. They're not meant or intended to be the end all answer. So remember, this isn't a tool that's 100% solution to your problem. Just like asking a coworker or a team member or a virtual assistant or someone else to support you in something, it's not an end all. It's a collaborative process. And so we're going to want to make sure that we're remembering to be collaborative when it comes working with AI in ChatGPT. We're going to jump into ChatGPT heavy and get into uses on ChatGPT side of the fence. Some of these things that are on this list are not ChatGPT related. I want to point a couple of those out because they're kind of interesting. Virtual staging. There's a couple of companies, and we have a whole sheet on all of the different AI companies that work, and that's in Lotus Launch. We'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of that. But they talk about virtual staging. And so, there's AI where you can take a picture of a room and then it will virtually stage that room for you. So it will show you staging. Adobe Photoshop is getting into this game too. So you can take a picture in Adobe and you can start saying, put a couch here, put a picture here, put a plant here. So virtual staging is something, make sure that you watch out on your disclosures depending on your state. But do make sure you're disclosing if you're using AI to virtually stage a house in pictures so that you're not setting unfair expectations or violating any of the rules or regulations or laws in your state. So that's one area that's kind of interesting where AI is popping up. We're seeing AI pop up in presentations. And so there's AI tools that create PowerPoint presentations for you. So that could be if you're doing like a listing presentation or something along those lines. There are various AI tools you can use to kind of help with that preparation part of the process, which is awesome. Headshots, there's a lot of different AIs right now, that are working on helping you have a better headshot. So maybe you have a dozen pictures of yourself, you upload it to the AI and it produces a headshot for you. Super cool. I don't know about you, but for some reason, my least best photo days are the days where I'm taking a headshot photo. And so it's nice to have some tools there that can take all the rest of the pictures that I already like and then put them together and make a headshot out of it, which is awesome. And then, on the design side, Adobe is doing some fascinating stuff with their kind of fill in the blank spaces on design. So you have a picture, maybe it's not wide enough, maybe it's not tall enough. Adobe is doing a really good job of helping bolster those pictures. So just a couple examples of other AI tools. There are a lot out there. And so do make sure that you're trying to somewhat keep up on the options, and then just test some of these tools out. They're not all going to work for you in all the same way or the best way for your business. Here's a couple things we're going to look at today. So today, when it comes to ChatGPT, we're going to talk about following up with your sphere. We're going to talk about listing descriptions. We're going to talk about some marketing plans, and we're going to do some script writing. These are some compelling ways to use ChatGPT to save you a lot of time and to really kind of help you start to get the edge in the business. Right now, we know that we're bumping up against low inventory, which has been the case for a long time, high interest rates, which is not helping anything for the rest of us, and a weird mix of odd things happening in markets all over the place. We've got Airbnbs in some markets that are starting to kind of get offloaded into the market. We've got buyers coming back into the market because they realize interest rates aren't going anywhere. We've got people listing because they've realized the same. And so we're seeing these undulations in the marketplace. And anytime that happens in real estate, people start talking about how, oh my gosh, it's time to get out of real estate. In reality, it's just time to level up your game. When you can start leveling up your game in these moments, you are going to be prepared to crush it as things start to turn around. And I would argue things aren't that bad. Right now, we're in the middle. We have a tiny team here in Southern California, and we're in the middle of a ton of activity. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're using some of these tools to help us with some of our timing. So let's get started on really doubling down on ChatGPT. The first thing I want you to pay attention to here, and I don't want you to pay attention to any of this stuff because we're going to get to that later. This starter prompt is your number one most important place you have to start with ChatGPT. Just because ChatGPT is a genius, think of ChatGPT like a genius fifth grader, okay? Knows a ton of answers, but doesn't always know how to get to the right starting line to be able to run the race. And so this starting prompt right here is a really, really valuable way to think about beginning your conversation with ChatGPT. And what this starter prompt does is it helps ChatGPT know where it's about to head in the conversation. So I've got ChatGPT open here. I've got a huge, so here we go. All right, well, I had it writing some stuff up here just for fun. We'll get to that in a little bit. I want to start off here with this is kind of my little test area here. I've got my starter account, starter thread here going. So this is a real estate agent chat training thread that I started here for this purposes in this account. In this account, I am using ChatGPT 4. That is the paid version. ChatGPT 3.5 is free, faster, but not quite as intuitive. So it takes a little more work with ChatGPT 3.5 to get to the right answer. So when you get a reply in ChatGPT 3.5, that reply is going to take a little more massaging and work. When you get a reply in ChatGPT 4, it's going to tend to be a little bit better. So it's $20 a month, but you certainly don't have to pay for it if you don't want to. So let's really take a look at this. I've said, all right, ChatGPT, I want you to be an expert in residential real estate. At the end, in my starter prompt, I said, do you understand? Yes, I understand. I'm ready to assist you with your questions. Please go ahead and ask. So if I go back in here, and let's just start with our communication to our sphere. So I've already pre-written this prompt just to save us some time here. Just so we're not spending a ton of time watching me type. The gist of this is that I've got a group of people that I know, and I want to have 24 kind of insightful and educational topics about home ownership, moving, peaceful home environments, cutting energy costs, just some stuff that I could send to my sphere, right? And so I said, give me just bullets, right? I want just give me a list. I want you to create 24 insightful things. And so if I'm thinking about communicating with my sphere, right? Gary Keller says 36 touch points a year with your sphere. That's a lot, right? Like 36 touch points can be a lot. So hopefully there's some in person there. Hopefully there's some social media there. Hopefully there's obviously there's going to be email. There might be some printed newsletters or printed publications, and there might be some texting, but you're going to need a lot of stuff to talk about. And we're moving into a relationship selling world, right? So we're moving away from the traditional funnel transactional world where it's like, I'm going to hit you with a bunch of, top line funnel call to action stuff, and then a bunch of check-ins. How are you doing? Which is my least favorite way to communicate to your sphere. But we're moving towards kind of an add value. Let me help educate you. Let me help give to you. Let me help contribute to you. Let me build a relationship with you. And that's what's going to really strengthen and really move the needle on this, your marketing to your sphere. And so here we go. It broke out some of the things that I had mentioned: home ownership, moving, creating a peaceful home environment, cutting energy cost, refreshing home decor, some just general stuff, improving curb appeal, gardening basics. And so you can see that it just gave me some starter ideas, right, on what I could really be thinking about here. And let's say that I wanted to go into creating a peaceful home environment. And so I might just highlight these, and I can copy and paste them, and I can say, thank you. And always be nice to your AI. Like, I know that sounds silly, but like I say thank you and please, and I appreciate it, or you're doing a great job. And if for nothing else, because my kids are around often when I'm talking to Alexa or I'm working, and they're hearing me talk about this stuff, and I want them to hear me being polite to my AI and polite to my Internet of Things, so that they will grow up and be polite to the robots that I'm sure will be living in our houses someday. Hopefully not. Skynet, get out of here. All right, so I want to say thank you for this post. Can you please expand on these topics? I would like one email and one text per point. The emails should be 100 words or less. Now I'm going to copy and paste, hit enter. Okay, so now what I've done is I've taken some of the content from here that it's already generated, and I've said, all right, can you basically take the topic and then write me something that is short? In this case, I wanted short, right? I wanted, all right, here we go. So it's writing my emails for me right now. It's giving me a subject line: peaceful living, soundproofing techniques. Peaceful home means less noise and disturbance. Soundproofing doesn't always require major changes. Simple solutions like thick curtains, area rugs, and wall hangings can significantly dampen noise. Awesome. So here we are getting just some content, right? I could expand on these emails. I could copy and paste this email and say, can you make this email 500-word newsletter? I could say, one thing that I love to do is like, so take the soundproofing one that we were just reading about. I can copy and paste this, and then I can say, great, can you make this funny? So then I can take content and I can say, hey, can you make this funny? And it'll start to write. And I got to be honest, ChatGPT is actually pretty good at being humorous. Like, it surprisingly isn't bad at its first take on humor. And so here it is with taking the same email that it had given me as an option, and that it had written it in a more humorous tone. Maybe that's your tone. Maybe you want it to sound like Ernest Hemingway. Maybe you want to sound like Snoop Dogg. You can ask it to write any of those examples into how to take that text and modify it. However, maybe make it more casual. Can you make this, you can make it read like an academic or read like a 9th grade level. However you want to write it, and whatever your style is, ChatGPT can begin to write in your style and begin to take your style and change it if you want it to be more humorous or less, as an example. In this case, what we have here, maybe this isn't the whole email that I'm looking to send, right? So maybe what I do is I take this short email that it wrote, And I put this as the lead in to my next newsletter. So my newsletter might have a video of me talking to one of my, most recent clients who closed on their home. It might have the market update. So maybe I send a market update with every single newsletter. And then I might add this as kind of that lead in, that hook to the newsletter. And so I might, I'm always looking for good subject lines. I'm always looking for good, and we can start saying that. So we can say, great job with this email. Can you give me 10, we'll just say 5 subject lines based on this email? So you'll notice I didn't copy and paste anything here. What I did is I just said, great job, give me 5 subject lines for an email here. And you'll notice, voila, it just went to the same exact last thing that we've been talking about within this chat. And so it just kind of keeps going as the chat keeps going. And it gave me a bunch of options here for different subject lines. So if you're getting ready to send out a newsletter, you should or an email for marketing purposes, you should be copying and pasting that newsletter or email into ChatGPT and saying, hey, can you give me some subject lines? And you can get specific about that question. You can say, can you give me, subject lines that are clickbait? Let's ask it if it can do that. Can you make 5 clickbait subject lines? See what it comes up with. So here we go. So these are all clickbaity subject lines, right? And so clickbait is like, the headline that doesn't really give you anything, but kind of makes you feel like you have to click. Whatever your style is, or however you want to approach your marketing, ChatGPT is going to be a really great starting point. You want to take these subject lines or take the email, you want to copy and paste it, and then you want to edit it. You want to add some of your own voice. You want to take some of the phrases out, maybe add a little more commentary, add an example, add a story that's personal to you and your clients. And so there's opportunity there to add to this. But again, this is a starting point and a very powerful starting point. And so when it comes to, in this case, communicating to your sphere, it wrote texts to go along with it, right? So here's something that you can do as a text, and then you can send a link out to a blog post, or you can just simply send the text as is. And it's just giving you some things that you can then import into a spreadsheet. You can have your VA do it. You can do it. Your marketing person do it, however you have set up. And so I'm going to say, thank you for the help. We are going to change directions. And this is important. And I want you to pay attention here, because please keep in mind that you are a real estate expert. Okay. So what I'm saying is we're going to change gears here, ChatGPT. And you do want to do this, because as you can see, as I was getting into that thread and I was asking it to follow up on things, it starts to kind of narrow its focus into the things that I'm asking it to narrow in on. Great article, write me 5 subject lines, narrowed down. Great job, give me 5 clickbait versions, narrowed down. I want to broaden it back out again. I want to pull it back out again and say, we're staying within real estate. We're staying with you as an expert. I need some help writing scripts. And so I'm going to say, now, you really want to get advanced on this. You should have a separate chat for every purpose. So when you start really utilizing this tool, you start getting into a position where I will have a script section. So I'll have ChatGPT residential real estate script, and that has its own chat. I will have residential real estate marketing to my SOI. I have residential real estate cold lead marketing, social media marketing. And so I'll have a chat that is for each specific thing. And that's the ideal way to use it. But if you're, still testing it out and crunched on time, here's a way to do it. All right. So what I've got here is a script that was written. I gave it a couple of parameters. I said, hey, give me a short script about meeting. Meeting is the call to actions to get to a meeting. And I need them to know that I'm a realtor. Okay. And I want it to be casual. So I want like conversational. Let's see what it came up with. So, all right, hi, how everything's going. Okay, good, cool. That's great to hear. I was going through my notes and saw that you might be considering listing your home for sale. As a realtor, I've helped many homeowners in our area get fantastic deals for their properties. Now, here's an interesting thing. I don't know that I would say I've helped many homeowners in our area, which maybe I'm marketing locally, get fantastic deals for their property. Do you get a deal for your property when you're selling it? No. What you want is to maximize the value of that home sale. And so I might change some words there. And so here's a great example where ChatGPT is giving me something to start with. And now I might change from fantastic deals to most value for their property. I'd love to chat with you in person about how we can work together to achieve the best outcomes for your home. What do you think about grabbing coffee sometime in the next 2 weeks? We can discuss our goals and expectations. Any questions you might have. Okay, here's something that Becky and I talk about a lot. With our team, we talk about this a lot in trainings that we do. You need to find your voice and how you talk to your leads and how you try to close your clients into meetings. But one thing that I feel that a lot of people miss, or they don't, I think, really do a good job of honing in on, is the passive voice versus a direct voice. Generally speaking, now direct doesn't have to mean that you're like not nice. Direct doesn't have to be mean. Direct doesn't have to be forceful. But direct means the words you're using, are they in a passive voice or direct voice? So, for example, this closing sentence here: what do you think about grabbing coffee sometime in the next 2 weeks? That's a passive way of saying, well, what do you think? As opposed to a more direct way, which would be like, let's go grab coffee, right? That's a more direct. Hey, let's go grab coffee. That's a direct, you can say it in a nice way. Let's see if ChatGPT can make this more direct. Can you make this more direct? Again, I didn't have to type in the whole script. I just said, can you make this more direct? So I'm a realtor and have had great success in your area. That's pretty good. How about we meet over the next 2 weeks to discuss how it could be beneficial to you? So it took direct as meaning concise, okay? I might have gone a different direction personally. And so here we are. Again, these are some of the limitations, right? In this case, I said, can you make it more direct? It said, sure. And to ChatGPT, direct was straight and to the point. What I meant was more forceful, right? Not necessarily direct. I don't know that I love the word forceful, but I'm trying to think of what other word I would use to say, like, I wanted to be more aggressive in the way that I wanted it to come across. So maybe we'll see. We'll give it one more chance here to see if it can give the bulk of this. Can you make this might be funny. If I ask it to make it more aggressive, I could let this go, by the way, this misspelling here. It will do fine with most grammatical or spelling errors, which I do have a lot. So in this case, I copied and pasted the text I wanted. I said, could you make this more aggressive? Came across your details, look at this, I won't beat around the bush. I'm one of the top realtors in our area. My track record, exceptional deals and satisfied homeowners. Let's not waste our time. How about we meet up for coffee in the next 2 weeks? You need the best, and I offer the best. Wow, this is really over the top. So you can see that ChatGPT will give you what you ask for. And when I talked about that garbage in, garbage out, here's an example of me not giving it enough detail. I just said, could you make this more? And it said, here's a more assertive approach. That's a much better word. Could you make this more assertive? And ChatGPT said, yeah, hell yeah, let's do this. And it came at it like hard. And I personally would kind of maybe blend the two of those and not be quite so braggadocious in this, but it's a good example of how you can use this tool. I know agents that talk like this. We all do. We all know agents that talk like this, and that's okay. It's okay if you're one of those agents. If you want it to write for you like this, bam, right there, you got it. If you're looking for something a little more subtle, nuanced, you have to really make sure that you're refining the how do you interact and ask ChatGPT for help. So listings, let's talk about listings. This is an area that I think ChatGPT can really help. It is a wonderful tool for this. I'm going to walk you through a really quick listing. Great. Thank you. And so, all right, let's jump in here. I want to, we are going to shift gears again to writing a listing for a property for sale. Does that make sense? Okay, so you notice I didn't fix up the spelling error there because why not? Okay, so here's what I want. If you're online right now, let's jump into the chat, throw out some ideas. If you're not on your mobile or driving or something, throw out some ideas for what would be some different listings that we might, different attributes of a house that we may want to include in a listing. And so I'm going to say we are selling a property in Los Angeles. Okay, because that's where we are. We're headquartered in the LA area. So let's see here. So what do we got? All right. So now, all right. Let's see here. I see. All right. Obviously, oh yeah, square footage in home. So the home is 2,300 square feet. What did I do here? Square feet with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. Okay. All right. This is a fixer-upper. All right. You guys want to fixer-upper with a huge backyard. Okay, backyard, big backyard. What else? Oh, it's in a great neighborhood with good schools. Needs a new paint job. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would put that in. I don't think I would put that in anyway. Even if it was a fixer-upper, I don't know that I would call that out. Great neighborhood with good schools. Let's say, okay, so it's I like that, close to coffee shops and local restaurants. Okay. Local restaurants. Okay. What else we got? It has okay, let's see here. Oh, okay, so lots of storage in the garage. Okay. We see, okay, solar is paid off. Odd for fixer-upper, but that's fine. I guess they really wanted solar. Nice pool. Okay. Again, weird choices here, but all right, let's go for it. So let's see what we got here. Let's think of a tone. What kind of tone is the neighborhood? We would say, all right, it's quirky. I like that. Good choice. Good choice. Quirky neighborhood vibe with nice neighbors. All right, let's see what we get. All right, so ooh, charming fixer-upper in the heart of LA. Ooh, I don't know if I'd say heart of LA is going to be charming, but sure enough. All right, so now what it's doing is giving us some commentary here on, and you know, obviously this isn't how listing descriptions are formatted, like with emojis and everything else, but it is. So what we can do is, can you? And this is where saving time can come into handy here. Can you please remove the emojis? And so it's going to write it all again without the emojis. So you'll see it's the same exact layout here. Okay, so now I'm getting this list without emojis, which is nice. And it's giving me some kind of some pictures here. And so what I mean by pictures is let's talk about this as a listing description. And all right, so vast backyard. Words like vast give the emotional feel of expansive and large with possibilities for gardening, entertainment, personal sanctuary, you know, morning coffee runs, evening dinner dates, you know, local shops around, good education for little ones and top tier schools nearby, ample storage, eco-friendly living with the paid off solar system, neighborhood charms. This is great. Can you make this in paragraph form? not a list. Okay, so now I'm saying, okay, this is great. And I could use this on some marketing material, you know what I mean? Like in that list format I could use in marketing material, but maybe what I want this in is just a simple paragraph so I can just copy and paste the paragraph and toss it in a CRM just as is. And so I'm going to take it here. What it does is it just took what it just wrote me and it turned it into a paragraph. I can take this paragraph and then make some edits to it and add any sort of commentary that I want to it. It does create well thought out, emotionally driven property descriptions that I was just in a discussion online with people about property descriptions. We were talking about ChatGPT and they were saying, well, yeah, but ChatGPT really includes too much fluff. Your description should be straight and to the point. Well, I agree that the description should be straight and to the point for the other agent. So as another agent's looking at the property, they want to get to the details. How many square feet, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what do I need to know about the property that I might not know? Like, what are the details of the things I need to know? The buyer, when they're reading a description, they want to be able to emotionally connect with the home in some way. And so we know this about sales. People use emotions to buy and logic to justify their purchase. That's why we say emotions sell, features tell. So emotions sell things, features tell you things. And so when you're writing your descriptions for your home or any other marketing for that matter, it is important that you think about the intended audience. So the other agent is going to read through the fluff. Who cares? They're going to get to the details. Fine. However, the buyer on the other side of that is going to want to see some feeling and emotion to it. And they're going to want to connect with the home in some regard. And so that's where you want to have a little bit of that emotional part baked in. So there's just a couple of examples of how you can get ChatGPT to help you with home descriptions. I know a guy, Cameron Zand in Las Vegas, does luxury, really high end, $3-4 million up to $30-50 million properties. And he uses ChatGPT to write all of his home descriptions now. And some of these are $20 million homes. And he's using ChatGPT to write the descriptions. And these descriptions are really long for those homes. And it's because what he does is he takes all of which you will have, all of the details of the home, and then gives some commentary to ChatGPT about the home, and then says, write me a description, and then uses that as a starting point. So there's kind of some bit on descriptions. Let's jump to marketing planning. This is one area where a lot of agents struggle, and they really do have a hard time trying to find their way through how do I market myself beyond just the generic market update. And ChatGPT can be a really powerful resource in doing that. So I'm going to skip asking ChatGPT to recalibrate itself. We're just going to jump right in to the marketing plan. And so here's a pre-prompt I have that says, look, I want digital, I want traditional. The goal is to have a 1-year plan, and I want it to be dynamic, and I need a marketing plan for the next year. And so here we are. It's going to start giving information on what each part of the campaign should be. It's telling me kind of how to go about doing it. What you will notice when you ask ChatGPT to say, give me something like a marketing plan. What ChatGPT does is it gives you what I would consider a generic model for a plan, but there's no meat into what do I actually do next. And so example, and I'm going to stop generating here. It'll keep going as it's building in more components, but we don't need to go through the whole entire thing. And so let's start at the top, marketing analysis. So saying, go do some market research, personal branding, make sure that your brand is set up. Those are fundamental pieces. Digital marketing approach, launch and refine a professional website. Okay, probably all have that, but it's assuming we have nothing because we didn't tell it that we had stuff. Boost your social media presence, regularly post on these platforms, start a bi-weekly newsletter, implement a pay-per-click campaign, and collaborate with influencers. Then it's got a traditional direct mail campaign, send postcards, distribute seasonal home maintenance tips, host open houses. So these are all general marketing approaches. So let's say that I want to dive in deeper, right? And let's say I'm like, all right, I want to boost my social media presence. Maybe that's what it is that I want to do. And so I can say, great. I would like to boost my social media presence. Can you take this marketing plan and create we'll say just 3-month, just to keep it easy, 3-month editorial calendar. Oops. Okay, so now what I'm saying is, okay, great. Thank you for that. And partnership collaborations, you could have dove in deep on every single one of these. So you can go in there, copy and paste it and say, this is great. How do I go do this? I want to do a influencer campaign. How do I do an influencer campaign? And it's going to say, find the influencers, reach out to the influencers. And I'm going to say, great. How do I reach out to the influencers? What do I say? What do I write? What do I text? What do I share? You know, what's my strategy for connecting with them? How do I close them into working with me? So you can start drilling down into every single one of these. I'm going to stop generating here. Okay. So I said, give me a 3-month editorial calendar. And it said, all right, great. It's giving me ideas, sharing testimonials, highlight a local property, share a fun fact about local real estate market, post benefits of your social media sign up. Okay, so let me just call out one of these. On week 3, it says share checklist for homeowners preparing to sell. I'm going to say, great. Can you create a checklist for homeowners preparing to sell? So instead of me going through all of these and saying, oh, that's a really good idea, ChatGPT, I should go do that, I'm going to say, that is a great idea. How do I give me that answer? Come back to me and tell me exactly what should be a checklist for people who are. And so here we are, where it is starting to create, I'm going to stop again, it's starting to create a homeowner's checklist for preparing to sell. And, you know, again, interview and hire a realtor. Well, by the point they're talking to me, they better have already figured out they're going to hire me. So I don't know, I need to include that on the list, but deciding a list price based on market analysis, good stuff, gather property documents, important, you know, so on. Interior preparation, I'm sure it would have gone to exterior preparation, how to get your home ready, how to list your home. So it's going to go through this entire checklist. You can take this checklist, copy, paste, put it on your website, put it in a newsletter, put it on a print letter, wherever you want. And you can take this and now you've got a tangible piece of marketing that you are going to use in that editorial calendar. And so if you go back in an editorial calendar, for those that aren't from the marketing world, is a calendar of what are you going to post when. Monday, I'm going to post this. Tuesday, I'm going to post that. Wednesday, I'm going to post this. Okay. And so you can go back to this editorial calendar and start asking it to give you more content for each of these. I can say, even create me in a 3-month editorial calendar. And then let's do with tips on improving your home curb appeal and let's see here, curb appeal plus let's do interior design, outside lawn, and maybe your energy. Okay, so now it's giving me a 3-month editorial calendar based off of some specific topics. And I've been talking a lot here, so my brain is starting to lose its ability to focus on which would make for good topics. But here's an example of how it's going to start walking you through some of these components. And again, we can stop and we can just say, you know, expand on week 2. So I don't even need to highlight it. I can say expand on week 2. Oh, okay. So I stopped it and it said, no, It thinks it's still writing, and it hasn't stopped writing yet. So let's go back real quick. I want to show you that little thing that I said is that, so it would have continued and expanded on. What happened right there, that error that you're seeing, is that ChatGPT is stuck in a little bit of a cache. It thinks it's still writing a response. It's not writing a response anymore. And that happens from time to time. Normally, I just walk away for a second, let the cache work itself through, come back, and I'm able to restart and jump back in. So let's go to, I'm going to go ahead and refresh here, and I'm going to start a real estate expert chat. Okay, so I'm still inside the same chat stream we're in, and here's the one big secret I was going to share with you guys about something you can do if you're a little bit stuck, is you can have ChatGPT become the prompt generator. Okay, so here it says, I want to build out a marketing plan for a virtual-based real estate company that's goal is to attract new agents, right? And so I want to make this a prompt creator. And so I've asked ChatGPT to please tell me how it would create a prompt, okay? And so I'm going to say, okay, I want to know information. So this was my starter prompt. You would need to create a prompt for a killer, we'll say great newsletter. Okay, so here it is. It's taking my prompt, it's giving me suggestions, define the target audience, clarify the unique value proposition, define the frequency and content type. So what type of newsletter am I talking about? Include calls to action. So telling ChatGPT, here's my call to action at the end of this newsletter. These are all suggestions that it's giving me on how to interact with ChatGPT better. So what I said is, this is the topic that I want, and I want you to become a prompt generator. And then ChatGPT said, okay, great. What do you want to generate prompts on? And I said, I want to generate prompts on this. And it said, okay, I can do that. If you want help with generating a prompt for that, here's some things you should consider. And that's what this list is. Define the target audience, right? Clarify. These are all questions. What are the core values and selling points of our virtual real estate business company? Are there any specific geographic regions? What tone or style do I want this to be in? Do I have an existing brand or stylistic guidelines that I can use? These are really good questions. If you were sitting in a meeting with a marketing person and you said, hey, marketing person, I want you to create some marketing for me. These are the types of questions that person would ask you if you were in the middle of the meeting. And so when I talked way early on about ChatGPT being that smart expert person in your office sitting right next to you, these are the things that person wants to ask you. These are the detailed questions they want to ask you so they can best help you. So if you are struggling with using ChatGPT and you're not feeling like your prompts are really hitting it strong and hitting it hard, this is one way to say, okay, I don't need to be the best prompt engineer in the world. I can have ChatGPT help me become the best prompt engineer in the world by helping me draft a prompt that it wants to see. And I cannot express how powerful that is, that the very tool you are using will tell you the answer for how to best use that tool. That is unbelievably game-changing, phenomenal experience when interacting with an online tool. And so that's one of the many things that makes ChatGPT unbelievably incredible. A couple of things that you need to note. Best practices, prompts matter a lot. The data set within ChatGPT cuts off in September of 2021. That's when they took the data box, moved it to the server. If you want ChatGPT to know information beyond 2021, you have to upload that information to ChatGPT. You have to say, ChatGPT, here is a document or a PDF or a video. There's lots of tools to do that I want you to watch or I want you to read so that you can be prepared to answer some questions. So if you ask ChatGPT to give you a market update from, Q2 of 2023, it does not have all of that data. You must help it get some of that data if that's your question. Every time you have a new topic, you should start a new chat. As we mentioned, it tends to narrow down as time goes on. You must edit your ChatGPT responses. Do not copy and paste them directly into your marketing anywhere, because that's a violation of ChatGPT's terms of service, and it's lazy marketing. So lazy marketing and sales. Go in there, make some edits. ChatGPT is a starting point, not an ending point. Proofreading is required. ChatGPT is a great writer. Personally, I toss it into Grammarly or another tool because I'm not a great proofreader. If you're an awesome copywriter and really good at proofreading, then awesome, you go do it yourself. If you're looking for a tool to use, I use Grammarly to do that and kind of soften it up a little bit and figure out where I think it might need a little bit of polishing when it comes to the proofreading. And you got to stay on top of this. ChatGPT is changing and growing and modifying as time goes on. So do make sure you're paying attention to it. With that said, if you've got questions or need more information, my name is Jabez. Becky is in a meeting a client meeting right now, but you can always reach out, just Jabez at lotuslaunch.com. Our community is lotuslaunchre.com, but if you want to email me, it's just Jabez at lotuslaunch.com. I would love to chat with you. I love this stuff. It's super impactful in the way that we are running our business, and it's something that's really made a difference in the way that we've approached our marketing and how we've approached communicating to clients. So hope this was useful. Thank you all so much for attending. Thank you very much for my EXP crowd who showed up. Love you guys to death. Thank you guys for the folks from Facebook who came on today and joined us, and those from the Lotus Launch community who came on and joined us. All of you are fantastic, and I just really hope that you enjoyed this session. And with that, I will leave you to the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Bye.